Perfect. Awesome. Well, welcome everybody. I'm Betta, and today I'm going to be giving a little talk on realistic tips for getting started in cybersecurity. So I'll get into a little intro here. So hopefully you're here because you want to work in cyber, and I think that's amazing. And of course you do. Why would you not? I mean, I work as an ethical hacker, which is honestly one of the coolest jobs you could have. So totally get the interest. But there's a lot of misinformation out there online about how you actually get into a career like this. And I want to help you get there. So I'm going to give you the real information and help you take a realistic approach to getting started in cybersecurity. So we're going to cover a lot of stuff in a little bit of time, but I'll give you a little intro about me here in a second, and then some myths and realities about cybersecurity, how to get started and learn this, how to actually get a real job in it, setting goals, and we'll have some time for questions. So just a little intro about me here. I'm Betta, and I hack websites and find vulnerabilities in code. It's kind of my specialties. So I started teaching myself to code when I was 13. I began building websites for some small businesses in my hometown in Montana, where I'm from. And that kind of went through high school and college. It was my own little small business. But I, started realizing I needed to know a lot more about application security and building websites better. So I was learning more about, how to make websites better, how to keep bots off my clients' websites. And I realized like once you go the security route, you can't go back to building things. You start overthinking it all. And I realized hacking was a lot more fun. So I was able to intern with a hacking firm, found out I was really good at hacking websites because I'd been there and seen, the types of gaps people leave when they're trying to finish things. And I, decided that was a career for me. So I got a bunch of scholarships. I was able to get my master's in cybersecurity at Georgia Tech, all covered, and I got a bunch of certifications with a grant from the NSA. And I've worked at a few different companies. I've worked at Coalfire previously, and I'm currently an application penetration tester at OnDefend. So penetration tester is the official term for an ethical hacker. But just so you know, if you see that out there. So I want to help you guys get some more information about how to actually do what I did. There's a lot of myths and realities out there about, getting a job in cyber. So I'm just going to go through a few little scenarios, things I hear a lot. So people online will tell you things like there are 3 million or 3.5 million unfilled jobs in cybersecurity. And unfortunately, that's not really true. Like it's often used as a random stat to like sell courses to people, like just buy my, 1 month boot camp and suddenly you'll get one of these 3 million jobs. There are jobs out there, but they are not entry level. It's actually very hard to find entry level cybersecurity jobs. So what you kind of have to do sometimes is pivot in from other areas. So I will get to that later. But getting that first job is really hard. So when you hear people shouting things like that, sometimes they're just trying to sell you something. So just be aware of that. And when these people are trying to sell you things, they'll say things like, you can get a job in cyber after a 3-month boot camp. Unfortunately, that's just not really the case. What I see is that it usually takes people 2 to 3 years of consistently studying from the time they're like, I want to work in cybersecurity to like making a plan for themselves and actually getting that job. It's several years of studying and building work and finding connections. And those type of boot camps aren't usually very well regarded. They just don't teach you enough in that short amount of time. So definitely think about the long run when looking at these things. Sometimes you'll have people online say people just want to do cybersecurity because it's cool or because it pays well. And I would say, yes, of course. I mean, why would you not want to pick a career that's cool and pays well? So if that's why you want to do cybersecurity, then like that's totally an okay reason. It's also cool because, you get to help protect people, make the world a better place, represent women in technology. So those are all good reasons. So I want to talk about briefly, how do you actually learn these cybersecurity skills? So, you want to get a job, how are you going to learn these? And really one of the biggest and most amazing things about cybersecurity is that everything you need is free online. You don't need to buy a course from anyone. These are here a bunch of things that you can find for free. I recommend taking a screenshot. I'm going to show a bunch of lists here. I might not have time to mention everything, but definitely check these out. One of the best ones for people starting out is Try Hack Me. It's a website where you can go and it's okay to hack the website. They have little tutorials and demos. You're not going to end up on some list or anything. And then the Portswigger's Web Security Academy is where I learned a lot of my web hacking. So those are free. Check them out. Hack the Box is a little more advanced, but once you want to start learning more advanced skills, you can move there. Kali Linux is a popular form of Linux that hackers use. It's also free. You don't need to buy hacking tools. And just looking up anything you ever wanted to learn on YouTube. There's tons of hacking tutorials on YouTube. It's not illegal or anything. OWASP has a ton of free coding guides that's an application security group. And just asking ChatGPT to tutor you on things and teach you what you need to know. It actually can talk a lot about cybersecurity, especially if you say, I'm a student learning ethical hacking, it won't censor stuff. And then if you want to study for some certifications, if you have access to like a university or a public library, a lot of times they have online like Security Plus prep or study guides that are just free through your library. So definitely check those out. So take some screenshots because I'm going to have more stuff coming. But basically, if you make yourself a plan, what do I need to learn? Go find like a bunch of free stuff out there. You do need to have a way to validate that you did it, because you could say, look, trust me, I've been studying this for years. But if you don't have anything to prove it, that's kind of where you sometimes have to pay a little bit for something. So I would say it's okay to get a certification to prove that you've done some studying. I think Security Plus is one that I see everywhere. It's only maybe like $300. And usually you can get, like scholarships for that kind of thing through universities and such. I think that's a good one for people to start on. It's not going to be enough to get you a big job, but that's where you want to pick a specialization. The others that I've listed on here are specializations either in like cloud security, network security, penetration testing, that kind of thing. Do your research and find something you actually want to get good at, and then find what is the most popular certification in that field. Get that one big certification, and then you should be good to like actually prove you know things. So take a screenshot here too. So talked about some ways to learn things. There is so much free stuff out there. You kind of just have to make a plan to learn it. But now let's actually talk about getting a job. So say you've been making a plan, working any tech job you can to kind of pay the bills or, get some basic experience. Maybe you've been working in like IT support, or you're already a software developer, or maybe you've been teaching, computer science in a middle school or something, and you've been making a plan to study. If you're ready to start applying for those jobs, this is kind of how I would recommend this to people. Because there's not really any entry-level jobs in cybersecurity, you have to show that you have like some experience, 2 to 3 years of doing something, but it doesn't have to be a job. So you can, get a degree or certifications to prove that, you've been studying things, but you can also do, if you're into hacking, you can do something that's called a bug bounty, which is where companies will post, say it's okay to hack us and report little things you find. We might give you some money. It's not a great way to make money, but it's a great way to prove that you found some small vulnerabilities. You can also do like little research projects, and there's tons of local cybersecurity conferences for just cities in your region. They're not like big fancy ones. Just getting in front of people there to say you did a little research project would be amazing. And also volunteering. I'll get into this in a minute, but to me, the best way to do this stuff is to go teach someone something. If you even know a little bit about cybersecurity, you know more than most people, and you can go into like a senior home or an elementary school and teach people about staying safe online. That's experience. And then capture the flag, CTF, is a type of hacking competition that people do. You can do that to build some experience, or just building, have a GitHub or a portfolio of different kind of projects. Maybe you're analyzing malware or something, put up some little blog posts about that. And then just doing internships, apprenticeships, IT help desk, any like super low level tech position while you're doing the studying, and you'll be in a good spot. So I talked a little bit about volunteering, but to me, that is really the best route to get into cybersecurity, is saying like, I have been teaching other people the stuff that I've learned, and over several years, that's what I did. I've been teaching girls coding since I was like 16, and been doing a lot of mentoring in cybersecurity. So by the time I was starting to apply for jobs, I could say I have all this experience, and it really helped me a lot. So that could be something like a YouTube channel where you post about the things you're learning. You could help with some open source project. Some of the things I mentioned earlier, help build other tools, hacking tools for people. Go to a senior center and teach people how to protect themselves from scams, or help like a local nonprofit just make like a cyber response plan. If they're hacked, who should they contact? Help them with like little things like that. And those are all things you can showcase. And eventually you might be able to get people to pay you a little bit to do it, or could eventually turn into like a little startup if you're lucky. But I do recognize that volunteering takes time and privilege to actually be able to do work for free. So I know it's not available for everyone. So if you're not able to do, that type of volunteering, you should be studying, hopefully, if you have the time to do that. But really, networking is going to be the way that you get people into jobs. Because cybersecurity can be really competitive for that first job, you really have to have someone recommend you to say, this person knows what they're doing. They're, doing a lot of great work in the community. I would recommend you to get hired. So I really recommend going on sites like meetup.com, finding either online or in-person events for different cybersecurity groups. They're everywhere. If you can just become a known face to say, this person comes every month, they ask good questions, those people will speak up for you and help you. There's local conferences. Look up, take a screenshot here because I can't go through all of these, but look up B-Sides is a series of local conferences in cybersecurity across the country. They actually have them around the world as well. And diversity organizations, I'll get to that on the next slide. But LinkedIn, one of my best tips for LinkedIn is to, you get 100 connection requests a week. Go in there and search for like ethical hacker in, Seattle or Washington, D.C., wherever you are, and just start connecting with people who have that job title. Eventually, your network will be full of people that have that job title that you want in that location. The algorithm will associate with those people. Recruiters will then, see you in those searches, and you can interact with those people and ask them for help. So that's one tip I've used on LinkedIn. And whatever you do, be consistent and be recognized, because if you're just jumping around and you show up once to a meetup and no one ever knows you, that's not going to really help you. But being someone that they see every week, say, hey, I'm learning, I'm trying to get into this, and you can help with discussions. People might say, hey, can you help me with this project? Eventually, that's really how you get people to vouch for you. So my other big tip for everyone is that you really have to specialize. It's not enough to just say, I want to work in cybersecurity. Because when you go up to people and say, I'm looking for a job, I want to work in cyber, they're going to say, well, what area of cyber? It's kind of like saying, I want to work in medicine. It's like so broad. You have to pick one thing that you're really good at. So something I say often is that you have to do one thing 50 times instead of doing 50 things one time. A lot of like intro to cybersecurity courses will like teach you 50 different things. Like maybe you'll open up Wireshark one time, you'll analyze a piece of malware one time, maybe you'll look at a cyber law, you might write a response policy, but you won't get good enough at those. And if you go to a job interview, you'll say, oh yeah, I did that once, but they're not going to hire you to do something if you only did it once. So what I would suggest is take, an intro course, find an intro thing online that's free, and then whatever one thing like really excites you, find whatever that is, do that over and over again, build a portfolio, and so you can get known as like that girl who's really good at malware, or that, woman who's like really amazing at analyzing new laws that are coming out. And once you're known for a specific thing, then people will want to pay you for that. So I've listed here a bunch of different specializations. Find what your experience is already in and find whatever's closest to that, is a great way to start. Definitely take a little screenshot here if that's helpful to you. And just pick anything and stay dedicated to it when you're starting out. I know it'll be tempting to want to study everything, but you really have to pick specialization. So for me, that was web hacking because I had experience in building websites. I knew how to hack them. And now I'm starting to add other things like AI and cloud security, but you got to pick one to start. And this is a great slide to screenshot because these are a bunch of diversity organizations. So you're here at this wonderful conference with Elevate, but within cybersecurity, we have a whole bunch of organizations that have their own conferences, meetups, they have scholarships to do certifications, and they're super helpful. So whatever groups you identify with, definitely take a look at these. And I also volunteer with a lot of them, and that's a great way to meet people as well. I'm helping organize an event to have people pitch different ideas for conferences. So things like that, you start to meet people that are doing other great work, and you can collaborate. It's really wonderful. And to have mentors that know your experience, people that come from your background, is just super helpful. So please take a look at some of these. So let's get to the end here and set some goals. I just threw a ton of information at you, and hopefully you've been taking some notes, but I want to help you guys set some goals. So I want you all to pick one of these questions on the screen and then put in the chat whatever your goal is. So I'm going to read off some of these different options here. We can say, if you had to choose right now, what would be your specialization? Or what is the first skill you're going to learn? And what is the deadline for learning that skill? So if you say, I want to learn what are some current cybersecurity laws, like I'm going to go look this up this weekend and then make a plan to like start reading about them. Or what product or certificate can you showcase to the world to say that you've learned that skill? And also, if you're starting to look for jobs, go out there and make a list of the certifications that pop up over and over again. What is the one that gets mentioned everywhere? What's that one I should get? And then go on meetup.com. What's an event I could go to this month to meet some cyber professionals? Or is there any organizations you know that could help with a volunteer event? And who in your life could be an advisor to say, yes, they've done this work? And how can you showcase all of these things that you do? So hopefully you guys will pick one of these and put it in the chat. And that's all I've got at the moment. So hopefully we have a little bit of time for some questions here. Let's see if I can see the chat here. I don't know if you guys can still see my screen. So let's see if I can pull the chat up here. Awesome. So it looks like some people, I don't know the chat. There we go. All right. Yes. So we have a question. Let's see. What do you think of the Google cybersecurity certification? Unfortunately, I don't think that's taken very seriously. I think the list that I showed earlier is kind of the only ones that I see listed on job certification, on job applications. So I would start looking for a title that you know you would want to work and do, and just look at the ones that are listed there. That's the only ones that really matter, the ones that recruiters are looking for, because the recruiters don't know what they mean. They're just looking for some letters. So it doesn't really matter how good the certificate is. You just kind of have to pick the ones that are going to get you out of the resume pile. And then people are making plans to go to meetups. That's awesome. Security and governance, policy. Yes, I love this. What else? Do we have any other questions? Data security. I love that. Join your local chapters. Yes, all the diversity organizations I mentioned have national chapters and then local chapters. So make sure to join both. A CS class that would be helpful in cybersecurity. I would say to take some classes in like networking and operating systems, like learn how to use Linux really, really well and learn how to, like how computer networks work. That was something I didn't learn in my computer science degree, and it's really helpful. So that's something good. SOC is more entry level. And unfortunately, there's not really any SOC jobs left. That's like looking at alerts. Those are a lot of getting like automated. So unfortunately, that used to be a good entry level job, but it's not really existing anymore. It's like moving to higher level analysts that are like threat hunters. So yeah, vulnerability analysis used to be a good place to start, but it's not really so much anymore. Yeah, the boot camps, somebody's asking about those. They're not really as helpful sometimes as they claim. And then the banks said they do not hire entry level. Yeah, people don't hire entry level. It's really sad, but you basically have to prove that you're not entry level. Say, I'm actually mid-level because I've been doing this for years of studying. Cisco Netacad, also a good one. Someone mentioned that as free studying. What else? Let's see. I'll scroll down. We got some message. How do you usually assess the recruiters' range in the quality of understanding the space? Assess the recruiters. I'm not sure maybe what that question is asking, but basically you have to assume that recruiters don't know anything about the field they're recruiting for. And that's okay. That's not their job. Their job is to just figure out if you match the qualifications. So you have to make sure that you're matching exactly the words that they're looking for. They don't know that Java and JavaScript are different languages. They might, just see Java and check the box. So just being really careful about, putting the acronyms for different languages or different certifications. And it's okay if recruiters don't know, but it's kind of how it works. Any specialization in cybersecurity around design? That's a good question. Not off the top of my head, but I do think sometimes people focus on like phishing. So if you're trying to trick people into clicking on an email, maybe if you're good at marketing, email marketing, that might be an area. AI chat to use roadmaps, that's awesome. What are my thoughts on the recent US government focus on certifications instead of education in cybersecurity? I mean, it's good that it has been a new focus on cybersecurity, and hopefully that will result in more jobs. I think certifications do tend to be more attainable for people, like asking people to go get a whole bachelor's degree is not attainable usually. So I think it depends on whatever fits you and your background. Just try and have either certifications or education and then some proof of that. And maybe one last question here. Do you need to have strong math background to learn encryption and data decryption? Yes, if you want to go into encryption, you really have to have like master's or PhD level math. Most people are not going to go into like applied cryptography, but that's a very small subset of cybersecurity. So if you're just interested in like hacking in general, you don't have to specialize in that. But yeah, thank you for all the questions. This is awesome.
Thank you so much for that lightning talk. I'm very inspired. I took many screenshots and I'm so ready to learn about cybersecurity. Thank you so much. Our next speaker is Ipsita, who is a product
Yeah,
lead at Shopify.